Welcome back, class. Decided since it was a pretty spring day, sit out here and we'll finish up this section on the American Revolution. This is section 6. We covered a whole lot about the different people. We didn't go into a lot of the different battles. One thing I do want to point out to you that's kind of overlooked in the American Revolution was the fact that guys like Daniel Morgan, Daniel Morgan was a backwoods sharpshooter. And Daniel Morgan, if you watch the movie The Patriot, Mel Gibson's character isn't solely crafted after Daniel Morgan, but it's Daniel Morgan and guys like him. Guys, the American Revolution, the colonists, the patriots, if you want to call them that, they will really utilize guerrilla warfare tactics. What I mean by that, where the British line their soldiers up in line and they have a different regiment and how to do things, these colonists won't play by the rules. They're going to put sharpshooters up in trees behind rocks. Now something very interesting that a lot of my students don't know is the American Indian actually helped the British, and they scouted for the British. And that's something that's kind of one of those little unknown facts. Remember, the American Indian, I think, always tried to play one side off the other. The little Indian probably thought that, the British were going to win this deal, so that's whose side they went with. But something interesting, Daniel Morgan and them, when the British will go off into that wilderness with their Indian scouts, Morgan and them, the first guys his people will kill will be the Indian scouts. The second people will be all the military officers. So he leaves these guys with no GPS and no leadership. And then he slowly will kill off as many British as he can. So that guerrilla warfare tactics in the American Revolution, guys, that is going to be very instrumental in us winning. The other thing is the involvement of the French. Guys, the French will bring over a massive navy, a massive army, and those forces will all come in here to help defeat the British. So when we talk about the American Revolution, I always like to point out we did not win that by ourselves. Now, something very interesting a lot of my students don't realize, guys, is after the American Revolution, not all the British soldiers on this continent left. They were still here. Guys, we just won those 13 colonies. Everything west of that Allegheny, if there were already British forts there, they stayed there. The British were still on this continent, okay? They did not all just pack up and leave. They were here. In fact, the War of 1812, a lot of people refer to that as the second second War of the Revolution. So we end this section at the end of the American Revolution. Guys like George Washington comes out pretty good. Washington was our wartime leader. He was out there for 12 years. He stayed with the troops. Although George did not have the most winningest record, he was the game player when the game was big. Guys, Trenton, that was the game. The game was big at Trenton. He won Trenton. George was able to hold them off long enough. The fact that we also used guerrilla warfare style weaponry and soldiers that fought not by the rules, that's going to help us. And the fact that the French also will come in. Now I'm going to end us with a real quick, guys, when I teach this face-to-face, I always mention this. When we talk about French involvement, and as Americans, we really don't like to sit back and go, well, the French kind of helped us. That's why we won that. That's the truth, guys. The French did help us, and that's one of the reasons we won it, okay? So we got to teach history like it is, not like what we would like it for it to be. But here's something I always give my students something to chew on. Did we ever repay the French? No, the answer is not that we had French fries. That's not it. Listening. Did we ever repay the French for their help? Yes. The answer is yes, and let me tell you what, guys. During World War II, when France is occupied by the Germans, guys, that movie Saving Private Ryan, Normandy, that's the beaches of France. It's the Americans, with the help of the Allies, we will go in and we help free the French from that Nazi control. We freed the French people. So did we help the French out? Yes, we did. Did they help us out once upon a time? Yes, they did. So you don't always, in history, guys, we don't always do everything by ourselves. We do need help from our neighbors. The French did help us in the American Revolution. We did repay that help. And now we're fixing to go in. Now we're a new nation. We've won this American Revolution. Now we have to put our country together. That's going to be, man, that's going to be a lot easier said than done. That's where guys like Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Adams, John Adams, not Samuel. Samuel's moved off to other things. That's where they're fixing to play into. They're fixing to frame this house up to make it into the nation that we live in today. So I hope you've enjoyed this section. Pretty day out here, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.